Hi, I'm Kayla Gillan, and I lead PwC's Investor Resource Institute. With me today is Peter Harries. Peter's a principal in our advisory practice, and he regularly advises corporate boards on a broad range of information technology issues, including emerging technology risks. Thank you, Peter. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you, Kayla.
A layperson like me has heard a lot about a cyber attacker who might get access to a company's information technology systems and infect it with a bug or a virus that causes some sort of damage to the systems or the integrity of the data. And yet we've also heard about more sophisticated, more nuanced attacks. Can you talk a little bit about these two types of attacks and the impact they can have on businesses and their investors?
Super. We see today, again, a range of attacks from really very mundane attacks to things that are much more sophisticated and pervasive. Those attacks, are defined as we look out into the population that we see in the market as being very methodical, in terms of their nature, coordinated, often on a global basis, and very persistent, so that even when a threat has been detected and perhaps even remediated, a company still having exposure, right, and having to have heightened vigilance around it happening again. It's been amazing, what we've seen in the marketplace. We've seen circumstances where our client is being attacked to better understand what their negotiating strategy might be to move into a new market. We've seen them attacked in order to kind of take intellectual property to perhaps gain some kind of competitive advantage. We've seen attacks, just outright financial theft from our clients, or attacks to disrupt their business operations. So a whole variety of impacts on our clients today. It's interesting, though, that all of these impacts have huge costs on companies. And, the SEC came out with disclosure guidance in 2011 for companies around these types of costs. And, noted a number of examples around the cost of remediation at the end of the day, the ongoing maintenance of the program, that are the enhanced protections that might need to be put in place for a given business, the lost revenues that a company might face, litigation exposure, or even the reputation damage. So all of those are possible ramifications that really can come out of some of these sophisticated attacks.
Will a company necessarily know if it's been attacked by one of these sophisticated actors?
A company it may know, so it may not know. Some of these attacks really kind of are below the surface within the organization, and many companies have monitoring controls and procedures in place to detect whether their information systems have been compromised. So there are, though, in circumstances where a company's own internal controls don't detect the attack, and this is where then the importance of public-private partnerships become more important as they engage with the federal government, who can also serve as a source of detection for certain companies under certain circumstances. So you find that those opportunities are available as well. So.
Are there certain industries or sectors that may be more attractive to a cyber attacker than others?
Sure. I think you need to look at that question through the lens of kind of the threat actor, which is kind of a fancy name for the different groups that are kind of coming in and trying to attack a given organization. So, for example, companies that engage in critical infrastructure for the United States. So that would be things like telecommunications. It would be chemical companies, energy companies. Government systems themselves are often, at the end of the day, at risk for the nation-state attacks that we see, as other foreign governments may be interested in the information that's being maintained in those systems, or perhaps the opportunity to disrupt those systems. Financial services industry is inherently at risk associated with organized crime or cyber crime rings, as they are looking to find opportunities just for outright financial theft and gain, often used through things like prepaid debit cards is one favorite. And then, a third group of threat actors that are out there we hear a lot about in the media are the hacktivist group, which have some sort of social or political agenda. Frankly, in that case, all industries are at risk, and really kind of gets back to how if given companies are taking steps that might violate a belief that the hacktivist group is trying to kind of propagate. So I think that at the end of the day, different industries do have different risk profiles, Kayla.
As you've seen all these companies, and are there some that you would characterize as maybe leading in this area? And are there characteristics of a company that's really on top of their game in this area?
Well, I think we've seen, kind of, improvement, for companies as they become more aware, of the risks of cybercrime. In our Global Information Security Survey at PwC, we identified 4 characteristics of organizations that are leaders in terms of some of the practices that they have in place. So those include having a security strategy, having somebody responsible for the security organization that reports to what we would call the top of the house, or a senior executive of the business with the appropriate span of control. They would have ongoing monitoring of their security and security program, and that they would evaluate that security program on a periodic basis. So we've seen improvement year over year in terms of number of companies that meet that profile. But even today, the number is less than 20%. So as you look at it, at the population of the companies that we survey every year.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Kayla.